In the sleepy town of Willow Creek, nestled among rolling hills and whispering pines in Northern California, the community center was a hub of activity. On a crisp autumn evening in 2024, the fluorescent lights of the Willow Creek Community Dojo buzzed softly, casting a warm glow over the polished wooden floor. The dojo, a modest space with mirrored walls and a rack of well-worn sparring gear, was alive with the chatter of students preparing for the evening's taekwondo class. Among them was Evelyn Harper, a 72-year-old widow with silver hair tied neatly in a bun, her slight frame wrapped in a crisp white dobok that seemed a size too large. Evelyn's presence in the class drew curious glances and stifled giggles from the younger students, who ranged from teenagers to middle-aged adults, all of whom assumed she was there by mistake. Evelyn had moved to Willow Creek 2 years prior, seeking a quiet life after decades in bustling San Francisco. Her days were filled with gardening, reading mystery novels, and volunteering at the local library, where she charmed patrons with her quick wit and warm smile. But beneath her unassuming exterior lay a secret she hadn't shared with anyone in Willow Creek. Evelyn was no stranger to martial arts. In her youth, she had trained rigorously in taekwondo, earning a black belt under a legendary master in Korea during a transformative period of her life. Now feeling the weight of age and a desire to reconnect with her past, Evelyn had enrolled in the community dojo's beginner class, hoping to rediscover the strength she once knew. She hadn't anticipated the skepticism that greeted her. The instructor, a wiry man in his 40s named Ethan Caldwell, was a third-degree black belt with a reputation for being tough but fair. Ethan welcomed Evelyn with a polite nod, though his eyes betrayed a flicker of doubt. The other students were less discreet. A group of teenagers in the corner whispered loudly, their voices carrying across the dojo. "What's she doing here? She's like ancient," muttered Jake, a lanky 17-year-old with a cocky grin. His friend Mia, a spirited 16-year-old with a ponytail, snickered. "Maybe she thinks this is a knitting class." Their laughter drew a few smirks from other students, including Sarah, a fitness-obsessed mother in her 30s who prided herself on being the class's top performer. Evelyn, adjusting her belt with steady hands, pretended not to hear. She focused on the familiar rhythm of stretching, her movements slow but deliberate, as memories of her training days flooded back. The class began with basic drills, punches, kicks, and stances. Ethan called out commands, his voice sharp and precise. "Front kick now! Higher!" The students complied, their movements a mix of enthusiasm and clumsiness. Evelyn followed along, her kicks lower than the others but executed with a precision that went unnoticed by most. Sarah, noticing Evelyn's careful movements, rolled her eyes and whispered to her friend Lisa, "She's going to hurt herself. This is embarrassing." Lisa, a quiet accountant in her late 20s, nodded but said nothing, her gaze lingering on Evelyn with a hint of curiosity. The whispers and sidelong glances continued as the class progressed, and Evelyn felt the weight of their judgment. She wasn't here to prove anything, she told herself, just to move, to feel alive again. But the sting of their ridicule was hard to ignore. As the weeks passed, Evelyn became a regular fixture in the Tuesday and Thursday evening classes. She arrived early, her dobok always pristine, and stayed late to practice forms in the corner of the dojo. Her quiet determination began to intrigue Ethan, who noticed the subtle grace in her movements, though he couldn't quite place why they seemed so familiar. The other students, however, grew bolder in their mockery. Jake and Mia made a game of mimicking Evelyn's slower kicks behind her back, while Sarah openly questioned why someone her age was taking up space in a serious class. One evening, during a break, Jake called out, "Hey, Mrs. Harper, you sure you don't want to try yoga instead? This is a young person's game." The room erupted in laughter and Evelyn's cheeks flushed. She offered a tight smile and said softly, "I'm exactly where I want to be, young man." Her voice was calm, but there was a steel in it that made Jake pause, though he quickly shrugged it off. The turning point came during the dojo's annual open house, a community event where students demonstrated their skills for friends, family, and curious locals. The event was a big deal in Willow Creek, drawing a crowd to the community center's gymnasium, which was transformed with banners and a makeshift stage. Ethan had planned a series of demonstrations, beginner forms, sparring matches, and board breaking. He encouraged all students to participate, including Evelyn, who hesitated before agreeing. She hadn't performed in front of an audience in decades, and the thought of showcasing her skills made her heart race. But something deep within her, a spark of the fierce young woman she'd once been, urged her to step forward. On the night of the open house, the gymnasium buzzed with excitement. Families filled the bleachers and local vendors sold snacks and drinks. The beginner class went first, performing a simple form that showcased basic kicks and punches. Evelyn stood at the end of the line, her movements steady and precise. The crowd clapped politely, but Jake and Mia, standing off to the side, whispered mocking comments about Grandma trying to keep up. Sarah, who was set to perform an advanced sparring match later, didn't bother to watch, dismissing the beginners as cute but irrelevant. Ethan, however, noticed something in Evelyn's form, a fluidity, a control that hinted at years of training. He made a mental note to speak with her after the event. The sparring demonstrations followed, with students paired by skill level. Ethan had planned for Evelyn to sit out, assuming she wasn't ready for contact. But when a last-minute injury left Sarah without a sparring partner, Ethan found himself in a bind. Sarah, confident and athletic, was a crowd favorite, known for her powerful kicks. With no other advanced students available, Ethan approached Evelyn, who was sipping water in the corner. "Mrs. Harper, I know this is sudden, but would you be willing to spar with Sarah? It's just a light demonstration, no heavy contact." Evelyn's eyes widened, but she nodded. "I'll do my best, Mr. Caldwell," the crowd murmured as Evelyn stepped onto the mat, her dobok slightly wrinkled from the evening's activities. Sarah smirked, adjusting her gloves. "This'll be quick," she muttered to Lisa, who looked uneasy. As the sparring began, the gymnasium fell silent. Sarah moved aggressively, launching a series of high kicks aimed at intimidating Evelyn. But Evelyn was ready. She sidestepped with a grace that stunned the crowd, her movements economical yet precise. When Sarah threw a roundhouse kick, Evelyn blocked it with a forearm, redirecting the force effortlessly. The crowd gasped. Sarah, flustered, doubled her efforts. But Evelyn countered each move with a calm efficiency that belied her age. She didn't attack aggressively, but her blocks and dodges were textbook perfect, a testament to years of disciplined training. Jake and Mia, watching from the sidelines, fell silent, their jaws dropping. Ethan's eyes narrowed, a spark of recognition dawning. The match ended in a draw, as per the demonstration rules, but the crowd erupted in applause. Evelyn bowed to Sarah, who looked dazed, her confidence shaken. As they stepped off the mat, Ethan approached Evelyn, his voice low. "Mrs. Harper, where did you learn to move like that?" The room quieted, all eyes on Evelyn. She hesitated, then spoke softly but clearly. "I trained in Seoul in the 1970s under Master Kim Jun-ho. I earned my black belt when I was 22. Life took me away from taekwondo, but I never forgot what I learned." The gymnasium was silent for a moment before the crowd burst into cheers. Jake and Mia exchanged sheepish glances, while Sarah's face flushed with embarrassment. Word of Evelyn's performance spread quickly through Willow Creek. By the next morning, the local newspaper ran a story titled, "Silver-Haired Black Belt Stuns Willow Creek Dojo." Social media buzzed with videos of the sparring match, posted by attendees who had captured the moment on their phones. The hashtag #, Willow Creek Warrior trended locally, with comments praising Evelyn's grace and resilience. "Never judge a book by its cover," one post read, garnering thousands of likes. Evelyn, initially overwhelmed by the attention, found herself invited to speak at local schools and community groups, sharing her story of perseverance and defying expectations. Over the following months, the dojo's atmosphere transformed. Jake and Mia apologized to Evelyn, their admiration replacing their earlier mockery. Sarah, humbled, asked Evelyn for tips on improving her technique, and the two began training together, forging an unlikely friendship. Ethan, inspired by Evelyn's story, introduced a new class for seniors, which Evelyn helped teach. The class filled quickly, with older residents of Willow Creek eager to learn from the town's newfound hero. Evelyn's story continued to spread, picked up by national news outlets and featured in a viral video by a popular online platform. Viewers around the world were moved by the tale of the unassuming grandmother who reminded everyone that strength knows no age. Evelyn, though, remained grounded. She continued her quiet life, tending her garden and volunteering at the library, but now with a renewed sense of purpose. The dojo became her second home, a place where she not only taught but learned, finding joy in the community she'd inspired. Her story resonated far beyond Willow Creek, a testament to the power of resilience, humility, and the courage to step into the ring, no matter the odds.